Mr. Little in support of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'm going to try to bring the temperature down a little bit and talk about just the legal aspects of this bill, which I think are very important for you to consider. With great respect and consideration for my esteemed colleague, Representative Zwiener, this is not a complex bill. It is a very simple bill. It's 2 pages long. One of the sections dealing with the revocation of affirmative defenses deals with sexual performance by a child. As a lawyer, it is very difficult for me to understand how a legislature in the past implemented or wrote into law affirmative defenses to sexual performance by a child that included bona fide educational, psychiatric, or other governmental purposes besides judicial and law enforcement. It simply makes no sense. It never should have been there. I understand that a lot of our discussion so far has revolved around harmful content and what constitutes harmful content under Texas law. Respectfully, that is not the purpose of the bill. And one thing I want you to consider is, should there ever be an educational, a scientific, or psychiatric or psychological reason to display harmful content for a child? And I would contend that the answer to that is no. There should never be a reason for that. It is called harmful content for a reason, because it is harmful. Representative Zwiener expressed concerns that this is going to put teachers or librarians in fear. And ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you humbly, teachers and librarians that intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly expose children to harmful content should be in fear in the state of Texas. I know there is extreme concern also from our colleagues on the other side of the aisle that Nobel Prize winning literature should be offered to children. And I think, of course, in most situations it should. However, there are situations where unbelievably accomplished authors such as Toni Morrison will have written pieces of literature, and that's what they are, pieces of literature that are not appropriate for a school-aged child. And I think we as reasonable people should agree that certain works of literature are too mature for children to be subjected to in schools. As accomplished as those authors are, and as important as those works of literature are, they shouldn't be exposed to children in schools. Representative Zwiener in our chamber here expressed concern that we need to, quote, I had to write these words down because I was shocked that they came out of her mouth, show children what sexual assault looks like. That is not the purpose of a school. It is not the purpose of a school in the state of Texas. It should not be the purpose of a school anywhere in the United States of America. We have written many bills this legislative session about sexual assault. I have co-authored and joint authored many of them by many of you in here. There are important changes that have been made to the law by Representative Johnson, Representative Howard, many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. And there is an appropriate time and place to make changes to the law about sexual assault. Educating people through pictures of sexual assault in a school is a bridge too far, and I hope my colleagues on both sides of the aisle will agree. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done.